Good evening, everyone. My name is Aurora Antoine Alexander. Thank you for allowing me to share with you my oral history interview speech for our Speech 101 Section 7720 online class. I chose an individual who's very close. He is a family member who chose to remain anonymous. Tonight, I'll discuss with you some of his specifics, then go into detail about the turning point in his life or the significant event in his life, and then talk about how, like his significant event, we can all bounce back from a horrific or what can be a traumatizing experience. To start off, this gentleman is 47 years old. He is a loving husband. He is a loving father to 3 children. He is a junior at Coppin State University pursuing his degree in social work. Now, according to my interviewee, there are 3 main institutions where someone could foster learning and earn a lot of personal development. One of those institutions, as you know, is a college or university. You know, we're in college now to gain the skills and the knowledge that we need to pursue our dreams. The second institution that he talked about was the military. The military, of course, is an institution that builds strong-minded individuals. The third institution, which many of us, including myself, might surprisingly be unaware of, is the institution of incarceration. So this gentleman, his turning point was when he was incarcerated. He was incarcerated at the age of 19 for 10 years. And it was during this time where he developed the most. It was during this time that he became the person that he is today. When he first entered prison at the tender age of 19, he didn't know much about himself. By the time he left prison, by the age of 29, he had gained some distinct qualities. He changed in confidence. His physique did change. His vocabulary language changed. He became a teacher and then was able to identify himself. He was proud of that. In the beginning, he lacked confidence. He wasn't sure of himself. Through the teachings of some elders in the prison system, he was able to understand how intelligent and how bright he really was. He gained that confidence. His physique improved, 19 years old and first in jail. He was a scrawny individual, 6 foot, maybe 165 pounds from what he recalls. And he mentions that it was through the physical training that he became physically tough. So by the time he left prison 10 years later, he was a solid 240 pounds. His vocabulary changed. One of his associates in prison told him that he had a vocabulary of 12 words. And of those 12 words, 7 were curse words. And so he had a very limited vocabulary when he first entered prison. And by the end, when he left, he was very eloquent, well-spoken, because he studied the dictionary from A to Z. And then he was a student. He was a student when he first went into prison, listening to the elders, really learning about who he was. And by the time he was ready to leave, he became a teacher, able to share that information with other young inmates so that they wouldn't make the same mistakes. He knew who he was by the time he left prison. He knew that he was a strong Black man. He knew that as a Black man, it was his responsibility to be responsible and to understand that he was seen as a threat, to understand that he was seen as competition. But ultimately, he knew as a strong Black man that he is the lion. He is the lion in the pack that ultimately leads, although the system is set up and ruled by some hyenas, his own words. And so what can we learn from this? Here's a man who was incarcerated for 10 years, went into the prison facility one way and then left another way. As a result of his growth and development, he is a strong community leader. He has goals. He has an example now for his children, for his family. And so this is an example of how a tumultuous event can either pull you further down or lift you up. He chose to associate with those who would lift him up. And as a result, he became a stronger individual, more eloquent, more intelligent, and now able to influence change. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my information with you. Have a great evening.